Assalamu alaikum, peace be with you and welcome to Islam and Life with me, Tariq Ramadan, broadcasting from London. In today's show we ask the question, is there a conflict between religious freedom and integration within schools?
In the summer of 2013, a court in Germany rejected a request for a Muslim girl to be excused from swimming lessons because the teacher was male, despite the girl already knowing how to swim. Elsewhere, a court in Germany endorsed the ban of Muslim prayer in a high school, contradicting the country's constitution which guarantees religious freedom. In the UK, a 14-year-old Muslim boy was excluded from school for refusing to shave off his beard due to religious reasons. These are not isolated cases. According to a report published in 2007 by the Muslim Council of Britain, some educational institutions have not been receptive of legitimate and reasonable requests made by Muslim parents and pupils in relation to their faith-based aspirations and concerns. This week on Islam and Life, we ask, is there a conflict between religious freedom and integration within schools?
In fact, we need to ask this question because wherever you go in the Western countries, and in fact it's an international universal principle, we are all talking about freedom of conscience, which is in fact the right for every woman and every man to be able to practice his or her religion in a very free way. The problem is that what we are witnessing today in many Western countries are some hindrances and some obstacles and sometimes some rules that are put that are against the very simple way of respecting freedom of conscience. And one of the areas is school. We heard about the ban on the headscarf in France, and it started in 1809. And then we had so many other issues, some in Switzerland when it came to swimming pool, others in Germany, even in Britain when we had some resistance when it came to respecting freedom of conscience, when somebody is saying this is my religion and it has to be respected. So we have conflicting policies repeating what are the principles, universal principles and human rights, and at the same time when it comes to policies, when it comes to enforcing the law, we have discrepancies and sometimes double standards, that what is said for some mainstream religions or majority religions is not respected for minority religions, not only for Muslims, by the way, for other minorities, but we are also witnessing this throughout Europe and Western countries when it comes to Muslims. And we have to raise these questions to know what is happening, why is it happening, and what could be the solutions for a future living together in the name of freedom of conscience. To answer all these questions, I'm joined by my guest, Raza Nadim, spokesperson for MPAC UK. Thank you so much for being with us. You are at the grassroots level, you are working within an organization here in the UK, and you are following what is happening in Europe. Yeah. So when it comes to freedom of conscience, this is a universal right, and as Muslims we are cherishing it and promoting it, not only for ourselves but for all our fellow human beings. So what is happening in the schools? Why do you think that when it comes to schools we have, for example, it started in 1809 with the headscarf in France saying, no, this is a neutral place in the name of two things. First, the secular society, and second, what we heard everywhere in the other countries, which is integration. You have to be integrated within the society. Why is it that the school is so critical in this discussion?
I think it's part of a wider issue that we're seeing in Europe and around the world. There is a narrative, a feeling about Muslims out there which says we are the other. And it's quite prevalent in many European countries too, that the Muslim way of life, the Muslim ethos is quite alien to who we are, and we do see that manifest itself within the school environment too. So it is quite odd, because I agree that it's someone, like we heard that young lad who wanted to keep his beard for religious reasons. It's just none whatsoever. We cannot discuss that all. No, get it off or you're out of the school. And I think that I feel that integration is almost become a word to use to say you need to give up your own values to integrate with us, when actually integration is about accommodating each other as well. And I think that I've not seen a lot of accommodation. I've seen just a lot of other people telling Muslims and people of other faiths that you lot need to give up some of your values or parts of your identity to fit in with us. And I think that causes a lot of friction and actually helps to split communities and isolate them further.
But what will you say to people when it comes to school? Here we are talking about school because there are problems everywhere.
Yes.
When it comes to public life, when it comes to no discrimination in the job market and all this, we know this, and this is something which is important to tackle. Now our discussion is about schools, and while we are talking about freedom of conscience, and we are talking about a neutral space where the people should be accepted for who they are.
Which is what a school should be as well.
Exactly.
Yes.
So why is it now a battlefield for many secularists and many people who are targeting the Muslims by saying, this is where we are going to get you because this is where you have to be part of us.
Us, yes, exactly. And we talk about militants of other faiths, but there are very militant secularists as well out there who do try to impose their values, especially in the school environment. You do see that it's, whoever you may be, fine, but if you want to be with everyone, you need to give up some parts of your identity. So we have seen in school I think part of the issue is for many young Muslims growing up, especially in the school environment, some people reach a stage where they make the conscious decision that they want to be a Muslim. And they want to start practicing their faith. I mean, I know I went through that as well, where I was a Muslim, born in a Muslim household. That's the culture around me. But then there's a point where I said, I want to be a Muslim. It's no longer my father or mother saying pray. I want to pray. I want to pray Jummah Salah on Fridays, be it in school or wherever I am. And what I'm seeing is that understanding that the religion is part of your identity. There are many quite militant secularists and others out there who are saying, no, religion is like a jacket, you can take it off. But for many young Muslims who start to practice their faith, their religion is not a jacket that they can put on or take off. It's who they are. And I think that's where we're seeing the friction, because young people want to be able to express their identity as a Muslim. And we are seeing some people who are quite dogmatic in their views, saying that no, for you to integrate, you need to give up some of your identity. And the thing is, that's not really going to help any cohesion. And in schools, all it does is, for some young Muslims, it will actually help to further isolate them and feel isolated as well.
Yes. Let us start the discussion on what, if we want to get some solutions on this. And first, to talk about the responsibilities. Some of the people, have been on the working at the grassroots level for years, and I heard many teachers, many people within schools saying, that's true that we have to, respect freedom of conscience. Now, you also, me as a Muslim scholar or a leader or people who are at the grassroots level, you have to tell the Muslim citizens, you have to tell the students that they have to respect the school, and there are some rules that should be respected within the school. So some of our, the students, sometimes when they are studying history, they might end up saying, I don't want to teach this, it's against my religion. I don't want to do this. We heard this in some schools in Germany once, and in France another time. People, no, I'm a man, and to be told by a woman, it's a problem in my religion. So what is the responsibility within the Muslim community? Because we have to be critical with the system, but we also have to be self-critical.
Of course. No, I think, that case, I hadn't heard of that particular case itself, but the thing is, I think there is a responsibility amongst the community and the community leaders to say that, look, as part of a society, we have to understand that there are people with other ways of life too, and just as we expect them to accommodate us, we too must accommodate them. That particular example of a woman can't teach me just goes to show that that's so far removed from an Islamic ethos. But it's that it's some people who have a cultural understanding, or just a general patriarchal, or just a very misogynistic understanding, who try to say it's part of my faith. But I think it's down to the community leaders and anyone within the community who sees anything wrong like that to speak out and say, hang on, you are actually causing issues for all all of us here. And I think we do need more of that too. I think, but also, I mean, because I used to work in a school before as well, you know, with students that had physical learning disabilities and obviously helping out other kids in their lessons as well. And there was an issue of children not being allowed to pray the Jummah Salah in the school, and they had to go to the local mosque, which is a bit of a trek, and so they'd end up not having any lunch or running back, and they'd either have to miss Salahs and his exams on the way, and everything's catching up. But the local mosques and the mosque community leaders did not seem to have any interest in that issue and how it's actually impacting the young people. And I think it's young people are looking for that guidance. They want to talk to someone. They want to see what the solutions are out there. And sometimes their parents may not have the answers. They may be too busy in other things. And I think it's our leaders do have that role to play, to create a forum for young people, but also for the general community around them, the school, the teachers, the local councillors, the governors, everyone.
That's a very important point, because when we are talking about schools, we are not only talking about teachers and students, we are talking about the society.
Yes.
And the society, every single citizen should be involved in the discussion. And to make it something which is, if freedom of conscience is not respected within schools, it means that it's going to be a problem for all of us within the society. So,
and
these
it's very
concerns.
interesting, but also what it does is that if for a young Muslim, if they are seeing that, for them they will see it as intolerance towards themselves, towards their faith, their identity in schools. If we allow that kind of feeling to fester, what it does is because the thing is, school and university and all that is a preparation for the real world. The thing is, if they get a taste of this real world in the school environment and they see others in that way, it will actually create a very isolated, insular young person who goes forward in society, and you always think these people are out to get me, or there's no place for me in society. And
nurture a victim mentality, nurture a sense of alienation.
Yes.
So now, if we come to the other side of the discussion and the perspective on what is happening. Now, you have students saying, look, in France, for example, I wear the headscarf, I cannot go to school. I'm obliged, you know, it's against my religion, but I'm obliged to go to swimming lessons, while this is against my sense of modesty.
Yes.
So we have lots of students facing things that they have to do or they cannot do because of the secular system, because of the rule within the society, and it's clearly against what we should understand as freedom of conscience. What should be the strategy? What can we do or say within the society to change this situation? Because, for example, you know, I was involved in all this campaign in France against this ban on the headscarf, and this was in the 80s and then the 90s. In 2004, we got this law against the headscarf in schools. You had this in Belgium, in Switzerland. We are facing
pace throughout Europe.
So everywhere the populists are gaining ground on this. What should be the strategy? How, in schools, what should be done?
There has to be a proactive and a reactive thing. I'll talk about the reactive first and come to proactive. The reactive side of it is this: when such a case comes up, I think there is a need for everyone that is involved in the school community, and like we said, it's, you know, governors, the head teacher, teachers, students, parents, local community leaders. I think there has to be a forum to actually discuss this issue, because what will happen often, you'll find some elements of the media may take a story and just blow it out of proportion. Like, you know, for example, when you saw the young man in Germany who wanted to be able to pray, just how that story just gathers pace and momentum and just becomes almost like a Muslim bashing story. So I think there has to be control.
This is the problem, you know, and I want you to react on that. This is the problem very quickly when it becomes a controversy in the media coverage. You have a huge majority of your fellow citizens who are supporting the ban.
Of course, yeah.
So how can we do that?
But see, the thing is, that's where I think in the reactive side, there's one, creating that local forum to discuss the issue, but also there has
preemptively,
to be,
you mean?
Exactly,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But also, once the story gathers pace and people start to get a negative view of the story, and it plays on those anti-Muslim sentiments, that, you know, that drip effect that we're seeing, there has to be a concentrated effort, an organized effort to counter this at a national level as well. So be it through online forums, other media forums, wherever we see on the ground with people, we have to go out there and challenge those misconceptions about Islam or what the story is. And also, now going to proactive, what needs to happen. There needs to be ongoing discussions and dialogue taking place within the local community to deal with this issue. So what often I find is it's there are many people who do not take an interest in this until something is flagged up. So be it from some of the local community leaders, they won't really be involved or have a role to play in the local school, and until a big issue is flagged up, and then they're there, and some people will be, just trying to get their view across, but it's too late. You had a chance. You have to create a dialogue and build those bridges quite early on, and I think it goes for all sides. That I think
not when the controversy starts, but just much before.
Yeah, exactly, much before. Yeah. And I think it's what we said put it quite nicely, that a school is not just for the children. It involves the entire local community, and I think that's where the dialogue has to begin, and we have to start dealing with these issues there. But also, I think it's important that those who are in charge of schools understand, I think it's a very key point, that for many people, religion is a very big part of their identity, and it has to be understood as that. Now, no one, if a Muslim woman or someone feels that their particular understanding of modesty means that they do not want someone to teach them, a man to teach them, they have to be able to respect that, understand that. It's not someone trying to be difficult. It's a genuinely deeply held belief that individual has, and I think some people don't understand that. They don't understand that this makes up the person's identity, and I think that understanding will help people respect him more and actually reach a much more amicable solution. Because I don't think we've seen that so far. What we've seen is forced integration. And what I've seen is it's Muslims, you need to, and other religions as well, you need to change your ways to fit in with us because you're just being difficult. And that doesn't help the dialogue.
Yes, that's very true. The problem that we have in, so to speak, the Muslim strategy is very often to take it as, oh, it's against us Muslims, we care about religion, people don't, which is not true.
No.
Around us we have lots of Jews, Christians, and people of other spiritualities who care about their faith and about their principles, and it's as if we are isolating ourselves in a way which is completely wrong. Just recently in schools, for example, a big controversy in France about the gender theory, saying everything is constructed, so we are teaching a girl and a boy that in fact the society and the culture are constructing all these categories, so you become a woman and you become a man. It's not, the essence is not there, which is in fact is undermining all the religious references and all the spiritual references. It's as if the answer coming from the Muslims is isolated. There is no strategy, there is no vision. So if we want to protect not the Muslims only, but the future schools and the curriculum, we need a strategy here. Okay. So you are talking about a preemptive strategy dealing with people.
And I think it's what you said is it's that it's not just to protect Muslims or others, it's actually to protect that principle of having acceptance and tolerance of others. Actually, not even just tolerance, but actually accepting each other, even though we have differences. And I think I agree with you what you're saying about the Muslim strategy seems to be lacking. The reason is because there is no actual discussion taking place at a high level that says, how do we deal with this problem? I think there are those within our community at very different levels of hierarchy, whatever level of responsibility they have, who do not really sit down to discuss how do we deal with these issues. And I think they are far too wrapped up in other issues, or just do not care about this. They do not see it as a problem. You
mean the Muslim leadership?
Yes, and within the Muslim leadership. And I think there has to be, the thing that really irks me when I think about it is this. When there was a media storm about the case of grooming gangs in the UK, 500 mosques in the UK were able to organize themselves to do a sermon, a khutbah in the local mosques to discuss the issue. And the thing is this, if you can just get yourselves organized for that issue, which is put on the table by some Islamophobic elements of the media, you can get together on the table to discuss an issue that matters to all of us all the time. And I think it's that we aren't seeing that focus and that objective driving them forward. There is no dialogue taking place.
But how come? Try to explain to me this, because myself for the last 30 years involved in this, all the Muslims and the leadership, we are talking about education as being central. Training, educating, this is Islam. No Islam without education for the people. And you are saying now, when it comes to our schools, with one fundamental principle, freedom of conscience has to be protected. And the Muslim leadership is not involved enough in this.
No, they're not. And I think
Why?
I think part of it is some people do not have the necessary skills to be involved in actually in making a strategy moving forward. And for some people, it really is a case they don't care. It's not something that comes on their radar or that they particularly are interested in. And so therefore...
the only answer is, as we have problem with the state school system, let us have our own schools.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And also what happens is that, again, our leadership, then all it becomes, as you're right, it either helps to further isolate the Muslim community, or they only react when the ball has already started rolling and it's too late to actually get anything going on a local or national level to deal with the issue or with the story as it develops. And I think that's where what we need more people who are interested in actually creating much more of a harmonious society, and actually sitting down face to face saying, look, we need a long-term strategy. We need to actually be organized on a much better scale as a community. And I think we lack that right now. We have people who have interests and who care about these different issues, but I don't think that the current Muslim institutions actually provide a forum for these people to create a long-term strategy.
Yes. Don't we have to rely on parents for that?
Oh, undoubtedly. Of course, parents have a part to play too. But see, for many parents, they themselves don't always understand how to deal with these issues. They're doing the best that they can. I mean, for example, when I used to work in the school, I had some parents come up to me and saying, my child wants to pray in the school, but they're not being allowed to. I don't know what to do. So some parents don't actually know what avenues they can take. And those that do know what avenues they can take, they don't know how to sustain that pressure or keep that, or open up a bigger forum and make it more, say have a preemptive strategy, actually have continuous dialogue. Many parents they need guidance too, they need organizing too. So I think there is a role there. I think, the thing is for me, when we talk about Muslim organizations, Muslim institutions, the key one that stands out for me in every local area are our local mosques. And I think they are best placed to really get everyone together, Muslims and non-Muslims, to sit down and say, how do we create much more of a harmonious society within our schools?
Thank you so much. I think that you tackled so many issues that are essential here. When it comes to freedom of expression, what we started with is to be self-critical, to look at the things that are not right coming within the community. Sometimes some of the claims are not even Islamic. They are just cultural, just misunderstanding of Islam. And it's quite important to have a strategy within the community. Now, on the other side, it's important also to be critical and to be involved in the discussion within the schools and to set the principles in the right way, that there is something that has to do with our religion. And once again, as we were saying, not isolating oneself within the society, because we have lots of fellow citizens and from other traditions who have the same problems, and they are expecting the school to respect their principles. And this is where what you are saying is not to come when the controversy started, but the preemptive strategy is to have a vision for the schools. It's a the whole society should be involved, and not only teachers and students. This is an important point that we discussed today. Well, that's all we have time for. Please let us know your thoughts and your views on any of the shows you have seen, and here is the way to contact us.
We at Islam and Life would like to hear your views about the subjects that we discuss. We would also love to hear your suggestions for our program, so get in touch with us. You can share your thoughts with other Islam and Life fans, engage in debate, and find out how to watch our previous shows. Follow us on Twitter at Islam and Life TV, or join us on Facebook by liking our page, Islam and Life on Press TV.
Finally, I would like to thank my guest, Raza Nadeem. Thank you so much for your presence, your input and your thoughts, and I hope to see you next week, inshallah.